Hello, everybody, and welcome on into Sidelines. On today's episode, we preview the upcoming softball season, plus we break down men's and women's basketball with Coach John Szentesy and women's basketball players Alivia Paeglow and Skatell. Welcome back into Sidelines. Joining me at the desk are two new members of the women's basketball team, as we have Alivia Paeglow and Skatell here at the desk. Thank you both for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about last week. Two tough games. Let's start with that Wednesday game, Lock Haven. Some of the things that didn't really go right in that game.
Well, I know for us, we kind of started out slow, and our shooting percentage was not very well. We didn't shoot very well, and we needed to adjust a little bit better, and we got better in the second quarter and more in the third quarter, but we needed to shoot a little bit better.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think just the shooting was low. We didn't really start off strong, so we have to come out strong from the beginning and play the whole game.
And then moving to Saturday, that's a really tough opponent. Currently the #1 team in the side of the conference, but it was really a back and forth kind of traveling with each other throughout that whole game. And Bella, you went off in that game, 5 for 5 from beyond the arc. What was working for you though in that game?
I think once at the end of the half, Kira went in for a drive. She kicked me out to 3. Once I kind of got that touch there, and I felt like our team kind of like came together. We gained our confidence a little bit, ready to go out. And when I finally came back in, I was ready to go. It just went going for me.
Gotta love when you have days like that and a career day for you. And Olivia, down low, they're bigs on that team. They look for the guard to penetrate in, but you guys really held your own there in that first half. What was the key defensively underneath?
I think we just had to front and make sure help was there because they were so much bigger than us and they were very strong. I think with us fronting, we had to have somebody on the backside, and we did really well with that and boxing them out.
So looking at this season, then, I hope this doesn't sound mean or rude to say that the height advantage has not really ever been on our side as a team top. So what do you guys have to do really to try and counteract that, to try and find ways to earn the edge when you don't have the height?
I feel like it's more we have to be faster on defense and smarter. So since we don't have height, we have to learn how to rotate faster and to play smarter. So instead of trying to get a foul, draw a foul, get a block, just if you get to that rotation faster, you're more likely to get that steal instead of a foul.
Yeah, we definitely have speed because height obviously isn't in our favor, but we have the speed since we're a little smaller and we work well with moving, and when we're driving and kicking, it all just plays out because our height doesn't work.
And I know in practices, another thing you guys have been working on was initiating the contact underneath. How important is that to the style when you don't, again, not to keep knocking on it, but when you don't have the height advantage to try and get yourself to the line? How important was that, and why was the focus mainly on initiating that contact?
I think because we were playing the #1 team in the PSAC, that we knew we needed to become more aggressive and step up and take the charge. That's been a really big emphasis for us in the past week. The more physical we are, the more they're going to want to break down. And the better we do that, I feel like the better we were off in the game.
Yeah, we've definitely been working on drawing contact a lot in practice. Even on offense, we try to drive into them to get the foul call because we don't really have a lot of luck with getting to the free throw line. But since we've been working on it in practice, we've gotten there more.
So looking forward to this week, 2 road trips, one not so long, finally, a road trip here going down to Bloomsburg on Wednesday. It's round 2 with that team. What do you expect in that game, and what does Mansfield need to do to come out of that game with a victory?
I think if we can just keep our confidence and keep working together, if we don't break down, and hopefully our shots will come. And if not, if we can adjust out of that, play good defense, I think we should be okay.
Yeah, we just have to play together as a team, start from the beginning in warm-ups. We have to have energy with each other and be able to play from the start, and we'll do good.
before we get into Saturday in Millersville, talking about that fast start, coming out of halftime, that's been where a lot of the slow coming back has happened. What do you guys have to do, either in halftime or adjustments coming right out of halftime, to sort of get that momentum back and get that excitement, I guess, back for that third quarter?
I think we've been working on it at halftime, staying up, keep moving, keep talking, knowing like we don't really like to have silence in our locker room. So the more you talk about the game, you get more hyped up. You come out at halftime, warm ups, go fast. Don't like walk around.
Yeah, when we have that extra time after we come out of the locker room, we get layups up, we get shots up. So that really helps us out. We have the running joke of doing jumping jacks in the locker room at halftime, but just like keeping moving so that we're not sitting down and losing all of our flow.
Not getting stiff. I like that. Let's now go to Saturday, or to this upcoming Saturday. Obviously, we don't want you looking past Wednesday, but that's a very good Millersville team. But you guys were close with that team. What is going to be the key to try and steal one on their court?
I honestly think if we can stay together and keep working as a group, we have a really good chance to beat them. I think we're good enough and we have the talent. We just have to stay together.
Yeah, we definitely all want it. We want to get a win. So I think once we play together, have the whole game together, we'll come out with a win soon.
You know, looking at this year and you guys as two freshmen from or onto this team, first of all, what has that transition been like for you guys, that high school to college transition and getting a lot of minutes as freshmen?
I mean, change of pace is definitely a big difference. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more physical. But I think our team has helped us kind of come into the game like easygoing. Of course, it was hard at first, but it was easy to adjust to it.
Yeah, everybody's definitely helped us get used to it. All the returners have helped us out with getting to workouts and staying on track of everything. But it was just faster, yeah.
And the other thing you mentioned, listening to those returning athletes, there's no true senior on this team, which is a good thing for growth for you guys. The fact that you will keep that momentum going after this year and really have pretty much everyone back next year. How much of a benefit do you think is the struggles that maybe at times this year you go through are knowing that for the most part this same group will be back next year?
I think we have a good chance to do something special next year. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it'll all be, a lot of the teams in the PSAC have been together for a really long time. So like us getting another year together and having that connection right from the start will help a lot instead of having a lot of new players coming in.
I mean, you still get those new players.
Yeah.
Gotta love looking forward then to sophomore year.
Yeah.
I've heard coaches say the best part of freshmen is they become sophomore, but you guys have been fantastic in your freshman season. So thank you for taking the time to stop.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Sidelines continues after this. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome back into Sidelines. Joining us here at the desk is men's head basketball coach, John Szentesy. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
No problem. Thanks, Drew.
So as we get close to this playoff push, looking for that final spot on Wednesday was a great step in the right direction for this team. Let's talk about that game. It was an overtime win here at home against Lock Haven.
Yeah, it's certainly great to win a home game, and statistically, when you look at the numbers, we shouldn't have won. We had 21 turnovers. We gave up 21 offensive rebounds and missed probably 14 or 15 free throws. Very hard to win a game with those numbers, which tells me a lot about the guys we had. Every single possession of the game we competed. It didn't matter if it was the starting five or guys that came in off the bench and even guys that might not have played at all. Everybody contributed. And, when it went to overtime, we didn't buckle like we have in the past. I think that was a good sign. We stuck together, persevered, and scored the first points in overtime, which I think helped us. And so ultimately, it was a great overall team win to stay in the hunt for the playoffs.
Speaking of that overtime period, you mentioned Lock Haven made a charge there at the end of regulation to tie that one up, and you said, actually right after the game on our broadcast, that it was really the team that calmed themselves down and seeing that growth. How important, especially late here in the season when we get to these must-win games coming up, how important is that, and what kind of step is that for this group to be able to do that themselves?
I think it's a huge step in that there are certain things coaches can and can't do for players and teams, and some of them we really can't give them heart. We really can't give them a sense of pride. We could try to motivate and try to get them in position on the floor to succeed, but ultimately they've got to do it. And when they experience that success, I think they prove to themselves that they're capable of beating anybody in any situation.
And Taylor Sweeney, who has struggled at times this year, had his breakthrough game in that game. What was his key to being so successful?
I think that he didn't stop shooting. He never lost confidence. He started the game, missed probably 4 or 5 early in the game and got a little bit down on himself. And even at halftime, I noticed him not knocking shots down, but kind of feeling that he's upset with himself for missing shots. It's okay. People are going to miss shots, but he never quit. He never quit shooting the ball and never stopped having confidence in himself. And if he does that, we're going to be tough.
Then moving forward to Saturday, it's a very good Shippensburg team that came in to the game and beat this Mountaineer team. What were some of the things early in that game, as it was a first half that there were struggles in? What happened in that first half?
I could tell in the first 30 seconds or minute of the game, I'm not sure what the reasoning was. Our energy level just seemed low. We weren't cutting hard offensively. We weren't setting good screens. We weren't communicating well defensively. And a lot of that is energy. And I can't put my finger on why it wasn't there. And I will give Shippensburg a lot of credit. They shot very well. They're a very fundamentally sound, unselfish team. They have size, they have shooters, they have ball handlers. They really are a nice team. They're well coached. And so I got to give them a lot of credit for coming in and knocking down shots early. And we missed some easy shots in that first half. And I can't, once again, the energy level wasn't quite where we like it to be all the time. But when you miss some easy shots, you can't afford to miss those kind of easy shots against good teams and expect to win. And I think had we knocked some of those shots down, the momentum might have been a little bit different for us, but we didn't. And at the end of the day, we've got to be able to make some of those easier shots.
How important, and during that game, those easier shots that you said that Mansfield missed, Mansfield struggled from beyond the arc in that game. Only one made shot from the three-point line that came late in the game. So do you think that those easy shots will open that up, or do you think it was just a rough night and an outlier for the team shooting?
Well, it should open things up. If we can get the ball inside of Trevor, John, Riley, Tariq, if we can get the ball down low to them and be effective and score, I think we can open up some things on the perimeter. When we weren't scoring down low, it made it just a little bit easier to guard on the perimeter, and we never got a clean look. It was hard to get a clean look from the perimeter. They have some size and some athleticism that bothered us a little bit on the perimeter, and probably bothered us down low as well in terms of not being able to finish. But if you're able to get some buckets down low and score and make them compete against you, hopefully it should open some things up on the perimeter, but we weren't able to do that on Saturday.
Looking forward to this week, 2 road contests, 2 almost pretty much must-win contests going for that playoff spot. But the team has struggled on the road. So what is going to have to be the key to get this team focused and ready and to come out energized here on a road contest game?
I can't pinpoint once again why we tend to not play as well on the road. I mean, I think it's hard to win on the road in the conference in the PSAC. It's definitely a challenge to win at all, but to win on the road, especially when we're traveling a long distance. I mean, Saturday we go to Millersville, and I'm not sure if the bus leaves at 7:30 in the morning roughly, and long bus ride and get off and try to play and come back. It's a tough day. It's a long day, but at the end of the day, it's still 5-on-5 when the ball is thrown up to start the game. So we've got to mentally be more prepared. Wednesday at Bloomsburg, a shorter trip, but have classes in the morning until about 2 in the afternoon, get on the bus, travel down to Bloomsburg. And we had a tough overtime loss down there last year where we shot very well from the 3-point line. Hopefully we can start knocking down some perimeter shots. We've struggled this year, all year, with the 3-point line, but I think these are games, I hate to use the word must win, but I don't like to put that kind of pressure on guys. I think if we play together and execute offense, communicate defensively, we're going to win Wednesday. So it's one game at a time for us. So we look at Wednesday as the game to the next game's the biggest game of the season. It doesn't matter if it's who we're playing or where it is. It's the biggest game because it's the next game, and that's the way we're preparing for it.
So let's talk about then that next game with Bloomsburg. Let's go into depth there. It was a win here at home against that group. So how do you take that and go into the game also with that confidence to know you've beaten this team you can beat, but not going overconfident to where if they go out a run, you go, oh no, what just happened?
Right. They have Max Wagner's back for them. Max Wagner did not play in our first contest in Decker Gym. He's the 6'9", starting 5-man. He averages 15, 16 points, 9 rebounds. He's a tough matchup. Left-handed guy that can shoot the three a little bit. He's strong. He's big. He can handle it fairly well for a big man. So he'll give them an extra boost this time against us. And I think the first time we played them, we were playing a lot of zone. We've since kind of switched back and started playing more man-to-man. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing that. What we'll do yet Wednesday night, we might have to mix it up a little bit, but they have a lot of nice pieces to their team with a very good point guard. He's very quick. He can score. He can defend. He gets guys involved. They have Travis Elmore in the post as well as Max Wagner, two bigs that can do a lot of different things to hurt you in terms of scoring and rebounding. Sam Saxton kind of keeps their team together, does some things to make their offense go, and plays hard, and he's a smart ball player. And they've got shooters off the bench. They've got Justin Anderson, who's a high-scoring left-handed freshman. I mean, they've got some good pieces there, and we know we were able to beat them in Decker. So hopefully, we've got to have that confidence going into Wednesday night that we can win again.
Now, Coach, tough week coming up here in that stretch, that home stretch, trying to find that playoff spot for this team. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it.
Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
Small community, close-knit, it's beautiful. Now, as we join UPMC, it just opens a whole new world.
Together, UPMC and Susquehanna Health are bringing life-changing medicine to North Central Pennsylvania.
UPMC brings extraordinary innovation to virtually every aspect of the work we do.
Exchanging ideas, sharing research, it's a tremendous opportunity to learn in real time with world-class experts.
Changing lives every day. UPMC Susquehanna.
Welcome back into Sidelines. Coming up in a couple weeks, not even a couple weeks, next week, we have softball season starting up and kicking up. And to talk about that, we have head coach Edith Gallagher. Coach, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Drew.
So the big thing this year, it's the 40th year of Mansfield softball. How does it feel to be a part of this group?
This group is really bringing a lot of energy. They're a lot of fun to be around, and it's just great to be a part of the history of Mansfield softball and all the people that came before us.
So looking at this group as you prepare for the games next week, what were some of the standouts here early in practice? And we'll get into with the snow being on the ground, how we work practices, but who has stood out of the players this year that you think could have a breakout year?
Well, there's a lot of players doing really great things. Deshae Jones is healthy for the first time in a long time, going out of spring, out of our training, and she's doing phenomenal things. But there's a lot of seniors doing great things, and I think you could have 3 or 4 people have like a breakout year.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about that. Dealing with practices. There's a lot of snow on the ground. Earlier, though, before the big snowstorm, you guys actually got outside onto the turf and was able to get outside looks. How important was those days to be outside and get those outside experience before the game days?
Well, every day that we can get outside is really important to us. Our first tournament will be on turf, so that was really important for us to get some turf time. And it's great that Mansfield has that, facility for us to use. And, hopefully when the snow disappears, we'll get a couple more days outside. But we're used to doing parking lots too, so it's, we'll get our work done.
So, and let that tally right into that. What do you do to counteract that when the turf isn't available or the field is covered? How do you counteract that style of practice?
Well, you just try and get as many game situations as we can inside. The outfield is the one that it's really hard to replicate that for because we just don't have the height and distance indoors, but they do a great job of doing their dailies and staying in shape and in game mode. And then the infield, it's a little easier with because we have facilities that we can, practice full go with balls. So it's good.
So early in the season, this first tournament coming up, what do you look for these early games? What are the things you really want to focus on with this group?
We just really want to get out, get started, kind of get our feet wet and see where we're at, how we're playing, and then, then you have a base for what more do we need to work on, what are we good at, what do we need more work on. So that's kind of your opening weekend, getting everybody settled in, getting everybody a little bit of time when we can, and seeing what different people do in different, positions and different places in the lineup. So really, just getting started. And
a new addition to your staff, Quincy Lewis comes on as assistant. What has she added to your group, her times here?
Well, Quincy's, got a lot of energy. She's doing a great job with the pitching staff. Like you said, she came in 3 days ahead of the student athletes, so she's really hit the ground running. She loves to take on projects, so she does a lot in the office. She's a really analytical person, so she does a lot of statistics, and so we're kind of tracking everything, every ball, every pitch the pitchers throw, what the batters are swinging at. So she really enjoys that side of the game. So that's a newer part for us of adding.
You mentioned with her working with the pitchers, it's a young pitching staff that you have. What are the benefits and some of the things you expect to maybe struggle with at times with a young pitching staff?
Well, they are a young pitching staff, but they do a really good job of controlling the controllables, and that's really what you want out of your pitching staff. Right now, they're breaking down different pitches, working on new pitches, but basically we're looking at the ball strike ratio for the first weekend and really trying to be ahead in the counts, work the batters, get your ground ball out. So that's what they're working on right now in the gym.
So it's a young pitching staff, but a very experienced rest of your 8 there. How important is that, having all those returning starters and those faces and personalities that already have gelled with each other?
I think it's really important because a lot of playing defense is trust, just trusting or knowing that you know this person next to me has a lot of speed. They can get to that ball. I don't have to reach for that ball. Also, it helps with communication, having veterans out there, and it will help the younger pitching staff. So if you have veterans behind you that can kind of say it's all right, no biggie, we got you, we have your back. That's really beneficial to the staff.
So coming off of a playoff experience coming off a playoff experience with this group, how important was that experience, which, to be candid, didn't go as well as you guys would have wanted that to go, but what can they take from that playoff experience going on to the year?
Well, they know what it takes to get to playoffs, so their goal is to get back to playoffs and then to win at playoffs. So when you have a goal, it really gives you incentive to work harder in the off season, to work harder in the weight room, to put in more reps, because you know that at the end of the year we have to be healthy. That's our number one thing. We've never gone into the conference playoffs healthy, so we have to build off the field and on the field to make sure we're healthy and mentally ready to go. And now that they've gone to the playoffs, they know the next level it takes when you get there, and that is really important to know.
And so the conference came out with the rankings. We were picked 4th in our group. Do you address rankings, that preseason ranking, with your team at all, or is it just something that you go, all right, that went out, let's not even worry about it?
It depends upon the group. They were all talking about it, but Mansfield in any sport, I think, is never, given the respect that we should be given, and it's earned, and we have to continue to fight for it. And so there's a little bit. There's a couple of people, the older upperclassmen who, that's a motivational tool for them. And then you have your rookies who really don't know, like that's disrespectful, and they're just like, oh, we were 4th. So it just depends upon your team, but you can use it for a little motivation.
And then last thing here. The big picture, what is your overall goal? You kind of touched on it, but what is that overall goal for this season?
Well, we want to get back to conference playoffs, and we want to be healthy when we get there, and we want to go win some games at playoffs and, really make a statement with this senior group.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
That's going to do it for us this week, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mountaineer athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. We will see you next week.